All right, quarterback rankings. You've got Peyton Manning at home against Kansas City
Just
as
a
your top
hunch.
quarterback. I think that's a very safe one. Aaron Rodgers had a very, very rough week 1 in Seattle. And now, I questioned you. You had him as your 9th quarterback overall in the week 1 ratings. And I was like, come on, it's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, sure, it's the Seahawks. He was actually 27th in fantasy football points scored for quarterbacks.
How about that?
So, yeah, you were. So I'll put that little feather in your cap, sir. And then followed by Andrew Luck in what we are expecting and demanding to be the barn burner of the week, the Monday night game, Philadelphia, Indianapolis Colts. Whew.
Safe to say that'll probably be, as I like to call them, that's your veritable all-start of the week. That's where just pretty much you can look at almost everyone and anyone involved at a skill position. It's like, yes, start them. Yes, good, yes.
Zach Ertz, Jeremy Maclin, LaShawn McCoy,
All of
Darren
them.
Sproles, Nick Foles. And then on the other side of the ball, T.Y. Hilton, Reggie Wayne, Trent
Wait a second. Hold
Richardson.
on. We told you. Patience. Don't get crazy.
Don't get crazy. Trent Richardson, that's hilarious.
That is so funny.
Back to quarterbacks.
Okay.
In between the two quarterbacks in that Monday night game is where I've got a little bit of a question mark here.
Okay.
That's Colin Kaepernick at home in the Field of Jeans against the Chicago Bears. I don't know about making Kaepernick the 4th overall quarterback.
My reasoning for this was twofold. One, the Chicago Bears defense made the Bills look like a really good football team last week. And of course, Buffalo did most of the damage on the ground.
Yes.
And Kaepernick didn't have to do much beyond throw the ball to the people that had 5 yards of separation from the defensive persons last week in Dallas, which was real easy. He did most of his damage in the air. This may be one of those weeks, again, I got a feeling, and I've seen it happen before, particularly at home for Kaepernick, where he does his best work on foot, unless he's playing Green Bay, of course. This could be a week he might beat them with both foot and arm. He could have foot and arm disease this week.
Hand, foot, and arm disease.
Hand, foot, and arm disease. I have Chicago. It does not have. They have not addressed or solved their defensive woes, even though they imported a lot of high-priced talent. I see him posting a big night. It's Sunday night. The lights are on. Field of Jeans debut. Top 5.
I think that he's going to have a very good night. However, I don't think that translates to a bang-up fantasy night. This is a guy who, week 1, 16 completions, 11 yards on the ground. And this is a game where the Niners established control of the game first, had a couple short fields that might affect some of the yardage that he accrued. But mostly, this is, he and Russell Wilson are kind of like, hand in hand for me. They're the guys that are going to get you 16 to 18 points on a good day for either of them. And then they have obviously a much higher ceiling, but both of those guys are going to be like the number 10 quarterback for me most weeks. I think he's a little bit high for Colin Kaepernick.
Perhaps a little bit high, and considering that I've got Nick Foles and last week's number 1 fantasy quarterback,
Matt
who
Ryan.
I was very bullish on as well,
Yeah.
ranked number 6. I did actually, for a change, factor in the matchups and who the people were playing, and didn't just pull numbers. I didn't just go wife-picking Kentucky Derby, like, oh, I like that name. He should be the top 5. That's a good one. Kaepernick. I went to a college with a Kaepernick. I went to Kaepernick State. Foles could potentially outscore him. There is a high probability that Foles may vault his way even into the top 3 if Indy versus Philly is the shootout that we all think it's going to be and want it to be. But guys like Matt Ryan, he's on the road against Cincinnati. It's a much tougher defense.
Yeah.
Drew Brees, obviously, he should be a perpetual top 3 quarterback.
He doesn't play as well on the road,
Outdoors.
particularly outdoors. Yeah.
Cleveland's got a reasonably stingy defense at home. Someone's going to live on Haden Island. That means he's down one of his top 3 targets.
Now, let's not oversell Joe Haden. I think that he's at this point, he had a terrible week last week, gave up a touchdown, just generally was not playing like a top cornerback. And I think at this time, Haden Island is really more of, I don't know.
An atoll?
An atoll. No, I'm trying to think of the right metaphor for it. When I see Haden Island, I really get more of like a hedonism resort. It's getting by on name recognition more than anything else, and it's pretty easy to score. There we go.
Nice, there we go.
Took me a while to get there, but
did not mind going for. I'll always go for a long walk,
yeah,
especially.
Thank you.
That was both journey and destination. Now in the top, this is something I never would have thought of doing before, let alone actually marrying the two of them. Both Andy Dalton and Jake Locker are next to each other and they're top 10 quarterbacks in my mind this week.
That's, you know what, I actually, as terrible as Andy Dalton looked in Cincinnati last week, where if a defender approaches...
He was in Baltimore. He played Baltimore.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
That's right.
The Ravens. Anytime I see Andy Dalton and he's got a clean pocket, he looks amazing. Anytime he's got a defender within 3 feet of him, he looks terrified and the ball goes nowhere near his intended target. When you have a team like the Falcons that has a pretty poor pass rush, I think Andy Dalton's going to be set up for a good game, especially at home. So I can't disagree there. And then Jake Locker looked fantastic in Week 1 on the road against a pretty tough Chiefs defense.
Yeah, and now that's why we have Peyton Manning #1, because that Chiefs defense suffered two huge. Derek Johnson and Mike DeVito are out, as if they already didn't have a bad enough week. I think Hurt Locker actually, maybe for the first time, he's getting coached the right way. Ken Wisenhunt, excellent coach. Justin Hunter and Kendall Wright, dependable wide receivers. They've got 19 different running backs they've promised to hand the ball off to this week. So he's got a full art. Complementary players like Dexter McCluster, who he can both hand off to and pass the ball to. And Mike Munchak built a hell of an offensive line before he got fired. They might be the sneaky good surprise, didn't know you guys were ready for the playoffs team.
I hope they are. I want nice things to happen to Jake Locker. He's had a rough go of things.
I want nice things. You know what? Seems like an upright gentleman.
The other after Colin Kaepernick, the other, I've got my other peccadillo with your list is Tom Brady at number 11.
I thought about even putting him lower.
I think you should.
I think you absolutely should. Removes glove, strikes face. How dare you?
Pistols at dawn, sir.
I'll see you tomorrow, Burr. Don't plan on being head of the Treasury for much longer.
Week 1.
Hamilton, whatever.
In Miami, 55 pass attempts to get to 249 yards. Let's crunch a little bit those. 4.5 yards per attempt. That is not elite, sir. That is not elite.
There was nothing elite about that.
And now they go on the road to Minnesota with a defense that, yes, the Rams are awful and are going to continue to be awful throughout the year, but that looks like a pretty good defense. And, oh, by the way, the new coach is Mike Zimmer, who is the architect of the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I think the Vikings might be for real, too.
Who held Tom Brady to 18 of 38 last year for 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. Mike Zimmer, the Cincinnati Bengals defense, and a 70-mile-an-hour gusting wind in the fourth quarter. Actually broke Tom Brady's touchdown streak. They thought he was actually going to beat Drew Brees, and he would have, but were it for not that one game. The Vikings, yes, they did look really good against a 13-car pileup that is the St. Louis Rams.
You say that, but it can be tough to get around those.
It really, really can be tough. Much like the Minnesota defense, it might be tough to get around them. Look, I'll be the first to tell you. These are all. I'm about to say all things true. The Patriots are 2-6 in their last 8 road games. They were horrible last week for most of not just the second half. Miami turned the ball over 3 times in the first half. 2 of those arrived in boxes with cards from Amazon, saying like, "Enjoy this gift." You didn't even register, but please.
Same day delivery. Amazon's amazing.
Same day delivery. They're drone gift delivery. Tom Brady actually has not played a really good game where he's been a top 5 fantasy quarterback since last November.
I went through the Week 1 scoring rankings by position, and I was scanning through the page and I was reading and I was like, "Where's Tom Brady?" And I had to click on the next page after the top 25.
You had to click on the next 25 icon?
Yeah, he was
Tom
number
Brady.
26th or 27th in fantasy points for quarterbacks last week. And Alex Smith, who threw 3 interceptions, was just like half a point behind him.
What company? What elite company?
So I'm actually I would if I owned Tom Brady, not only would he be on my bench, I would put him out front and not even be like part of a yard sale. It'd be like, $1 or best offer.
Wait, are you literally telling me that Tom Brady is now like he is now like the dresser that doesn't match the rest of the furniture? So you've just put him out in the front and just say, take free?
For me, Tom Brady is a QB2, like spot start against a weak opponent.
Wow, so he's the coffee mugs that don't even match the dinner plates.
Correct.
You've just dropped him off at the local Morgan Memorial.
Yeah, I have no use for him.
He's the dead grandma and don't tell mom the babysitter. You've got him in a box.
My wife has been giving me hell about that Tom Brady for months. I'm just going to bite the bullet this weekend. Get rid of him.
God. What world is this?
And then finishing out the rankings, Matt Stafford, Robert Griffin III, Tony Romo, Jay Cutler. Matt Stafford had a fantastic week 1, obviously on Monday Night Football, playing against a Giants defense that actually has a pretty good secondary, or was supposed to anyway. And Calvin Johnson roamed freely. He made some great plays, scored a
Golden
touchdown on the
Tape
ground.
actually looked pretty good too. He went 6 for 96.
I think
Possession receiver-wise.
I would say Matt Stafford should be bumped up these rankings a little bit more. Even with the Carolina defense, Greg Hardy is reportedly not at the Carolina facilities practicing with the team, so we could see something going on there with disciplinary action or possibly releasing him. I don't know what's going on with that, but I would be banking on, for me, Matt Stafford is a top 5 quarterback pretty much every week until I see otherwise.
Ooh, I don't know if about top 5. Even though Greg Hardy's absent from the game this week, the Carolina defense still does have more teeth than most people are giving it credit for. And I will say that obviously Jim Caldwell has done a nice job with him getting the solid possession receiver with Golden Tate. Also a very nice move. Matt Stafford said he was going to put in a lot of work in the offseason, getting fit. He finally sort of looked like he lost all of his like natty light bro weight in his face. He doesn't look like he just went to a Georgia frat party.
Yeah, he did. It's like he saw, who was that former Lions quarterback who's on the game? Scott Mitchell. It's like he saw pictures of Scott Mitchell and was like, that could be me.
Wow, no, I can't. I have to stop watching Body by Fonts. I need to not do that anymore.
And let's wrap up quarterback discussion with Tony Romo and just say, Tony Romo, terrible week 1. I'm saying stay the course on Tony Romo for now. I know you don't like it.
I don't know. I fell victim. I fell victim to what the syndrome that they call in fantasy Romo's folly, where I thought, you know what, San Francisco's going to score. I'm going to start Romo because he's going to throw against that depleted secondary, and he's going to do a great job, and he did, of throwing it to them.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Me. Not touching him.
Maybe a spot on the bench for a week for you. Let him cool off a little bit.
I'll talk to Tom Brady on the bench.
That's quarterbacks. Hey, thanks for watching this SB Nation video. If you liked it, do us a solid and click that thumbs up button. And for more from SB Nation, subscribe to our channel. And while you're at it, how about watching one of these videos over here? Come on, what else are you doing today? Click it. Go.